Hey there YouTube, welcome to a unboxing video today. And we're going to be unboxing a Kickstarter that really took my fancy. When I first heard about this, I immediately wanted to get involved. Unfortunately at the time, financial reasons, I couldn't pledge for it, and I was absolutely heartbroken. It was a game that just ticked all my boxes, from solo play to just the background story. It's a sort of a science fiction-y game, as you can see on the front of the box there. Beautiful artwork. I watched, I think it was on Beasts of War. I watched one of the playthroughs, and I just totally fell in love with it. And I was heartbroken for quite a few months after the original Kickstarter, which was way back. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was like December or November or December of 2017 or 2018, sorry. Oh no, I suppose it would have been 2017. I think it was like right at the end of the year. And at the time, like I say, I couldn't pledge for it, and I was heartbroken. And just by fluke, I think it was like March or April, or possibly even May, they opened up Backlit, or Backlight, or whatever it's called, options to be able to like basically pledge as if it was a Kickstarter, and it just so happened that I had the money. And to tell the truth, it wasn't a particularly massive investment. It was just that I literally, at the time of the original Kickstarter, I just didn't have the finances. So I went for a pledge which was called the Titan Pledge. This is the basic game. This is the Kickstarter version of it. It's basically no different in looks to the version that you'll soon, I think you can already pre-order it. It may even already be released, but I know it's going to be on general sale, like if it's not at this very moment, very soon. And basically, I know that I'm mostly sort of like hardcore into historical stuff, but I do have a other side to me, which is a massive sci-fi geek, a massive Star Wars fan, and science fiction fan in general. So, like I say, this game really ticked all my boxes, and of course the biggest thing for me was the fact that it solo plays, which to me is always a big bonus in any sort of game. So basically, I'm going to basically take you through all the stuff that I got on my Kickstarter, and of course take you through the game itself. Obviously, if you're not interested in it, I'm not going to take offence if you decide not to watch the video. But let's get started, shall we? So I'll give you a little closer look at the box. So it's quite a heavy beast. It's by Battle Systems, which of course is the company which does all the terrain, the sort of cardboard 3D terrain. And I'll try and show you the back. So there you can see like a rough idea of some of the setups you can get. It's amazing sort of 3D terrain, and it's kind of like it's basically plays like a sort of an RPG. You can you have your crew, and you can recruit, and you can improve their stats, and you can take different jobs, and it's all compatible with the rest of their terrain, so it's all kind of helps build up into one giant sort of you could basically build one giant narrative of a giant space opera out of it. So let's get inside this box, and I'll try and differentiate between the stuff that you get in the regular game and the extra stuff that you get in the Kickstarter version, because like I say, as far as I know, the boxes are no different in size or looks so on the outside anyway, and probably on the inside too, to how you would get it if you were to just pre-order yourself a version of it today from Battle Systems. So the first thing you get is, of course, a gaming mat, and it's one of these rubberized neoprene type ones, and it's a lovely playing mat. It's got, they added a grid system to it, sort of like quite late on, to allow you to, if you want to use squares rather than a measuring ruler. And it's it could be like a space station or a spaceship, or the inside of like a research base. It could be all sorts of different things. So that's a nice, I believe it's 2x2, a nice playing surface for you to game on. And of course that comes with both versions, the retail and of course the Kickstarter. Your next thing is this weird little lattice of cardboard. Now this is this actually transforms into something quite clever. You basically fold it up and it becomes a lattice that goes inside the bottom of the box, covering like this section here. When you've built all your furniture up and you've got all your flat packed walls, this will allow you to store all of your furniture and all the 3D components that can't actually be easily broken down in the bottom of the box, without you having to use extra storage. So that is a real bonus, whether you use it or not really, because if you don't use it for furniture, then you can use it for other storage for the game. So in that sort of respect, it's quite simple. Next up, this here is all of the miniatures, and we'll go into that a little bit later. You can see they went for a nice bit of artwork on the box, rather than just giving you a plain old white box like this. Just adds a little bit of flair to it. I'll show you the image to that a little bit later. The next thing is the rulebook, and now this is slightly different to the rulebook that you'd get in the retail version, because Kickstarter guys got the deluxe rulebook as standard. I believe you can actually get this on its own if you want to purchase it separately. It's I've only really flicked through it so far, but it's a beautiful book. It's full of coloured pictures and how the game was designed, and loads of artwork. Here's the sort of like the main enemy. They're called the Purge. They're kind of like a robotic race hell bent on taking over the galaxy. And then these are some of the crews that you can not only buy, you'll be able to buy separately, but the Kickstarter version actually comes with all these crews as standard, apart from one which you can actually buy, which I did actually get as one of the sort of add-ons. But it's a beautiful rulebook, and like I say, I've only flicked through it, but from what I've flicked through and seen, it's a really beautiful book, both just to read and actually having the rules as well. And to tell the truth, the rules don't actually take up a massive chunk of this book, so it's quite an easy game to learn how to play. So that is the deluxe rulebook, and I believe the one that you get in the retail version is softback, and I'm not 100% sure, but maybe 60 or 70 pages less from the basic version that you get on retail. Okay, next up, this is going into all the sort of cardboard stuff now. So this here is all of the, it's got some character sheets here. It's got your crew's spaceships, because each of your set of traders have their own spaceship, and this flips over and becomes the sort of the airlock to your ship, when you start playing the game. And we have some character boards here for some of the characters. So here we have the Purge board. Here we have this thing called the Threat Tracker, and this actually goes on here and is marked with peg holes to show you your sort of how, as the threat goes up, more and more things start going wrong. And I haven't actually opened this, as you can see, but also on the back, this is like the sort of the Kickstarter, the extras bundle, I believe. So all this stuff in here is actually stuff that you would actually get as part of it being a Kickstarter. And the section below it, apart from this, I believe this is this. No, I think you do get this. I'm not 100% sure if you get this in the core set, but this is an add-on which was given in the Kickstarter. This and the figure, so I'm not sure if you get that in the basic pledge. But basically, the second pack of cardboard that you get is basically all of the. Actually, I could have got that mixed around the wrong way. This could be the pack of Kickstarter exclusive stuff, because you basically get some extra terrain, some extra equipment tokens. Yeah, I believe this is the Kickstarter pack. So this stuff is the sealed packet is the actual terrain, and basically got it around the wrong way. So basically this is what you'd get in the retail version. This is all your scenery and your counters and everything that you get in the basic game. And the second pack of cardboard is all the Kickstarter stuff that you got as a backer. So it's mainly well, I'll show you. It's basically 3 sets of extra terrain. So we have a room scatter set with like crates and tables and some wall lockers and a display stand and some signage, and of course this is all kind of you know, pop it out and kind of build it, or it clips together using plastic clips. You get a girders and walls section, and this is basically extra sheets of the basic terrain that you get in the game. So it's just giving you some extra terrain. Like on this one you get like a ground conduit, a workstation, a chair, and some extra wall doorways and stuff. And we have a section of walls. So this is basically wall sections with a little bit of some extra signage down here, and got some struts again that you can attach to the terrain to make it more three-dimensional. Of course, the Annihilator, which is of course one of the enemy of the Purge, and this is you actually do get one of these miniatures from the Kickstarter pledges, I believe. So that's obviously its character card. Here we have another movement ruler and another whole bunch of randomised equipment that you can equip your characters with. So blasters, pistols, health stims, armour, hand-to-hand weapons, etc., grenades. So extra equipment counters. And finally, in this section, you get the extra crews that you get as part of the Kickstarter deal. So basically, you get the law enforcement element. So you've got security, the police director, and the Galactic Corps, which are like the Galactic militarized police. And there's one of their like elite units, the Juggernaut. And if you flip them over, you get like specialist versions of them, so like slightly more elite. And here we have one of the crews. So you can see they're really nice cards. They're all laminated, so you can actually mark on them with wipe off markers, so you can fill in your stats and your experience as you get better. And of course the other cool thing is that each of these cards can be flipped, and you can use these characters as civilians that you meet on the board, and you can try and entice them to join your crew and become part of your crew. So that's two of the sets of cards. Here we have a gang of this guy Zed is like he's basically like a head of a crime syndicate or a group of gangers, and you can actually use him as a crew captain if you want, and he's got his own crew, or he's got his ganger side, which would be counted as a non-player character on the board, because like I say, this game's kind of like lives in its own like world, so as you're going along, all the other elements on the board do their own thing and react differently to what's going on. There's a couple of more crews to show you. The final two crews, these are the ones that are like Kickstarter, like thrown in with the Kickstarter, but I believe they are going to be available to buy separately. So we've got this crew here, and this is obviously the civilian side, but you can see great artwork, great characters. So that's those. And finally, like I was saying, those ship cards, flip them over and you got your entranceway of your ship, including equipment hold, so you can keep some equipment in there. Again, these are wipe on, wipe off, so you can use dry markers to mark them up. Let's go into the final element of the box before showing you the miniatures. So next up, we have, this is kind of all the bits and pieces. So we have the threat counter, and like I said, you'd put the threat counter thing down here, and use pegs to mark what the threat counter is going up or down. Generally, I would imagine it would be going up. We have these special dice. So here we have, I believe in the retail version you don't get this yellow dice, but I believe you get everything else. And these 5 dice here are your combat dice. This is your purge dice, and this is your NPC dice, which basically tells you what a certain civilian model will do, because they can all react differently. And like I say, the Kickstarter people got this what's called a security dice, which controls like the security guards that can be on the board, and I don't believe you get that in the retail version. Okay, next up we have the dashboards. Now these dashboards are basically your character sheets for a game. You get you get 8 in the box, which originally, I believe the retail box also has 8. Originally it was going to be 6, so they threw in an extra 2, so that you can have 2 full crews of 4. And obviously if you wanted to play 4-player, you'd obviously need to get yourself another couple of boxes of these, because these are available separately as well. So that is those. And finally, in the bottom of this first section, with this little side bit, let me just put these over here for a second. So here we have 4 bags of pegs, which are used for your stats, the purge counter or the threat counter, your health, your ammo, and your skill points, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, they've all got a use. So you've got 4 bags of coloured pegs there. You also get some 3 to be exact spare baggies for putting your counters and stuff in. Always handy to have. Next up, this is going into the last little section of that plastic insert, we have your event cards, which I believe there are more cards here than you'd get in the retail version, because there's a whole bunch of extra Kickstarter ones in there that you got as part of the Kickstarter. And we have some base coloured rings for the bases of your characters if you decide to play without painting your miniatures. Could come in quite handy. And finally, before going into the miniatures, we have the plastic clips for connecting your scenery. So we've got 2 bags there, and we also have a core space little baggie, or a little cloth bag, which you would think at first sight would be to throw your dice in, but in fact you actually throw your equipment counters in here, and there are times when you blind pick, you open a crate or you search a room and you blind pick something to see what you find. So again, they added that little core space graphic as a sort of an extra as the Kickstarter was going along. So I believe you do get that in the the retail version as well, and that covers all of the basics. So let me just put this back, and we will move on to showing you the miniatures, because they really are pretty special. So just give me 2 seconds. Like I say, this is actually the first time I've actually sort of properly delved into this box since I got it, because I just haven't had time. What with my devotion to finishing my my Napoleonics for my update, which hopefully you may have already seen before this video goes up. So let me just put this back. Okay, and the threat counter goes down the middle there, like so. So let's put that back in there. I'm going to put all our cardboard back as well. And the rulebook. And we'll show you the miniatures. So let's just move that out of the way slightly. So, like I say, this is the box of minis, or miniatures. And we'll open it up. And this is basically what you get. So, let me just show you quickly. So all of these miniatures that are in the baggies here, this is all stuff that came extra with the Kickstarter. And the miniatures that are over this side are what you would get in the retail game. So here we have some Purge troopers. The Purge are kind of like a sort of a robotic race that are trying to harvest the galaxy. Here we have what's called an assassin. They're really great miniatures. I mean, obviously the Purge are kind of a little bit on the basic side, but they're basically just robots, so you know, you don't expect them to be too extravagant. But I think they look cool. And they're nice and sturdy plastic, they're not like flimsy at all. I mean, something like this you'd imagine would be flimsy no matter what it's made of, and to tell the truth, you know, it's a little bit of play there, but it's certainly not what I would call flimsy. And this thing here is what's called a live one, and apparently these things are quite nasty. You basically, when you've got a bunch of civilians walking around the board, there's a chance that one of those civilians could turn into one of these things. And they're quite difficult to get rid of, and they're quite powerful, so you basically don't want to meet them. And finally we have the, I can't remember what they're called, annihilators I think, which are kind of like their heavy hitters. You get 2 of those by the looks of it, yeah, 2. And the other thing that's quite cool is that all of these miniatures are individually posed. There's no like copies. Next up, in the basic sort of retail bunch of figures, you've got these blue plastic guys, which are civilians. So these are some civilians that could be wandering, you know, they could be shopkeepers, they could be just wandering around. Who knows where you're going to come across them. But we have this alien guy here. Pretty cool. And we have a couple of humans. So we have a female here. They're really nice miniatures for made out of plastic. They don't feel cheap. They feel like really well. They feel nice quality. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of them being in different colours, but at the end of the day I'm going to paint all my miniatures eventually, so I'm not too bothered, to tell the truth. And of course this guy, who's kind of like, looks a bit like a hipster really, with his spiked hair and his goatee and his long trench coat. So that's the civilians. And then we have the 2 starting crews that you get. Now I can't remember the names of the characters, but basically we have one of these guys will be your captain, and this crew I believe it's her, and in this crew I believe it's him, and I believe you start with 3 of your choice. It doesn't have to be a set crew, it can be a mixture, but you can see that they really are great miniatures. I mean, here's this guy, I believe this guy's called Ginnek, and you can see he's kind of like a sort of a 3-armed alien. He's got some kind of blaster rifle, a little bit of flash on the sides of his legs there. But really cool miniatures. I can't remember the names of all these guys, unfortunately. So we have this guy here. And this guy here. And finally, the captain. I believe this character could be called Ariane, I'm not 100% sure. But again, a really cool figure. And the second crew, got the captain. I believe this guy's the captain, although obviously I believe you can, it doesn't have to be the captain. Sorry. There goes him. And this guy. And this guy very kind of reminds me a little bit of the Colonial Warrior type jacket there from Battlestar Galactica. If you remember, they had those sort of rectangular clips. Pretty cool. And finally, this guy with the blaster rifle or shotgun, looking pretty mean. And then basically this stuff that you get extra as part of your sort of the Kickstarter stuff. So here we have the big beast. Can't remember what it's called offhand, but you can see that it's pretty hefty. It's not really showing very well for a baggie, so I'll try and get it out. try not to make this video too long. There we go. It's kind of cool. Looks very nasty. So you get that guy. You get another whole bunch of Purge. Now, I believe these might be the same poses as the starting 5 that you get in the retail, so like basically like another duplicate set to give you more Purge for the board. And again, another duplicate set of 2 Annihilators, another live one, and another Assassin. So that was like the extra Purge. Here we have a bunch of extra civilians. So in here we have the law enforcement guys. So we have the police governor. We have the Juggernaut, which is kind of like a heavy riot trooper type thing. And we've got a couple of randomised cops there. Of course they're in blue because they're kind of counter civilians. Then we have this bunch of gangers. Again, like I said, they're mainly to be used as NPCs for various scenarios in the games as gangers. But you do get the option of using them as a crew, so obviously you get 4 of them in there to make up for the 4 crew. And that female assassin there is particularly cool, in my opinion. So that is all of the stuff that you get in the basic box set of Core Space. So just to finish off now, I'll basically show you the rest of the stuff that I got in the sort of Titan Pledge, and a few bits and pieces that I got as extras. And then we'll bring this video to an end. Hopefully it's not too long. I do kind of need to sort that box out a little bit because I think I didn't lay the card down flat. But basically, it all, when put down properly, will fit back into the box very easily. So let's put that on there. Now, there's not too much extra stuff to show you. Basically, the Titan Pledge, which is what I got, is basically the core game, a cyberpunk core set, which is basically a duplicate of all the scenery that you would get in here. So it basically gives you double the amount of scenery, and obviously you can get this on its own, so you basically get like the basic box set that you would get. And in here is basically another mat, another set of clips, and all of the cardboard terrain that was still sealed in here. You also got in with the Titan Pledge a couple of scenario packs, which are sort of like themed terrain packs that also come with sort of scenarios that you can get online. So here we have one for Shootout at Zeds, which is kind of like a bar, a sort of like Star Wars-esque cantina type bar. And of course Zed being that ganger guy, so he's got obviously sort of like the head of the space mafia. And we got the an infestations set here, which is kind of like for, you know, some sort of weird stuff starting to take over a certain space station or something, and it's making like all sorts of weird like a sort of infestation grow on the walls and all sorts of weird stuff like that. And you also get a few bits of extra scenery in there, like an auto dock and a plasma reactor in there. So that's basically the sort of the pledge, the Titan Pledge. Now I basically got 2 extra things on top of my basic pledge, and one of which was a set of miniatures called the Mega Miniature Pack, which basically gives you another crew of 4 characters to use as characters. They're pretty cool. I believe the ship that these guys are on is called the Yamato. So you basically get the crew of the Yamato. You get 2 more civilians and a couple of gangers in this pack here. And you also get in this pack here 2 security guard and 2 more galactic police to help bolster your law enforcement forces. And of course that comes with a small pack of extra event cards, another vessel or spaceship card, and of course the character sheets for the gangers, the civilians, and the crew of the Yamato. So I'll quickly just show you those. So basically you get 2 gangers, so Millie and Razor. You get 2 civilians, Trevor and Doma. And you get the crew of the Yamato. So you got Ellen, Brutus, Alicia and Vice. And of course the spaceship card. So that was the Mega Miniatures deal. Now one thing about this is that you don't get cards for the police or the security, because you basically don't need them. They basically come in the core set, so you don't need them. You only need like one character sheet for as many that are on the board. So that is the Mega Miniatures pack. Now the second thing is something that I thought was the coolest thing that I've ever seen. Basically, it's basically this thing called the shuttle add-on. And it's basically this this flat packed shuttle that you can build up, and it turns into this. And you can lift the roof off, you can open the back cargo door, and you can also pull that chair out and stick a miniature into the cockpit to look as if someone's flying it. And I believe you can also actually open the cockpit. And it's absolutely amazing model. It looks stunning when it's built, and I really wanted one. And strangely enough, when I originally did my Titan pledge, I actually forgot to add a shuttle, and I actually sort of sent an email to Battle Systems a couple of months ago saying, you know, is it possible for me to please add a shuttle to my order? And they kindly agreed, and I managed to get one. So you could say that this is actually one of my favourite things I'm really looking forward to out of this this whole set, because I think it's an absolutely amazing model. Can't wait to actually assemble it. So that is it. That is the Core Space Kickstarter and all the stuff that came in this sort of Titan pledge and a couple of extra bits that I got. I hope you enjoyed it. Not much else to say really. You know, if you're interested in science fiction, and I certainly recommend going to Battle Systems and having a look at this, because it's well, I think it's one of the coolest board games I've ever seen. And I'll catch you next time. See you later.